Top tier.
Yeah.
Top tier.
I think he's
great club as well.
I think he's best manager in the Premier League.
I mean, it's a very easy argument to make. I would probably extend that courtesy to Mikel Arteta now he's won it.
No.
Now he's won it.
No.
It's very difficult to argue against the return.
You hear O'Hara there? No. Just completely dismissing it.
The current.
No.
He had his team in a Champions League final in the same year.
Who would you rather as manager? Arteta or Unai Emery?
It's who's better at the moment.
No. Who's the better manager? Unai Emery or Arteta?
Begrudgingly, I think Mikel Arteta now. History's written by the winners. They're the champions.
Favour.
When Unai Emery went into
What are you on
Arsenal, he made a
about?
pig's ear of the job. Unai Emery's Arsenal got absolutely slapped up by us in Baku.
Okay, right, but that's a different time at Arsenal when they was not in a good place, all right? And fair play to Arteta, he's put Arsenal in a good place. Unai Emery's a better manager than Arteta.
For Aston Villa, but not for a top tier team. For Aston Villa, I think Mikel Arteta is better for Arsenal. Mikel Arteta probably has a bigger future. You could see Mikel Arteta going to a Barcelona, a Real Madrid, a Bayern Munich, and all staying at Arsenal and having a legacy there. You can't see Unai Emery ever doing that again, can you? He's had the PSG job. It didn't go well. He's had the Arsenal job. It didn't go well.
Eventually will leave Aston Villa and will get a bigger job.
He might do. Listen, like, share, and subscribe, please. Loads to go through on Killing the Game today. And do you know what I love about this argument? And this is the best bit for me. Remember, Killing the Game is going to, I reflect on a lot of things that are said to me as well, because one, I want you guys to enjoy the content, but two, you have to look at your own self. And we had a conversation yesterday on Straight Facts, and it triggered this train of thought again, going, because a lot of people react to what we do as well. And I think there is a position of just attacking people, wanting other people shut down and trying to hurt people versus actually interacting with people's content. And that's very much the position that we're coming from. I'm not advocating for talkSPORT or any channel that I feature to be shut down and let's attack them morally or be nasty. And if it comes across in that way, let me know in the comment section, because it isn't meant to. So I really do appreciate the feedback on that. But Jamie O'Hara here, for me, has just made himself look a bit of a tit. And I'll tell you as to why he looks a little bit of a tit. When this argument was being had, any time between 2025 backwards, so in all those years where Arteta was coming second, narrowly missing out, the argument was, when people said Arteta's better, hasn't won anything. Got to get over the line. Got to win a major trophy. People conceded that Arteta was at a bigger club, challenging for league titles consistently in the Champions League. But because of Unai Emery's CV and the fact that Arteta hadn't won anything, you couldn't make the argument. Arteta then wins the league after rebuilding a broken Arsenal, which in itself deserves a massive accolade. Rebuilding a giant club that has fallen from grace gives you an opening into the pantheon of great managers. Doesn't put you in it, but gives you an opening to walk into it. Because how many managers in the last 50, 60 years of football, I'm not talking about taking over a smaller club, create a really good team, won things that's fallen down. How many managers have recreated the glory days of a fallen giant? But I find it hilarious. Unai Emery's excellent manager, by the way. Deserves all the credit he gets. I do agree with Rory Jennings here. I'm not sure if he's ever going to get a chance at a giant club again. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. He was linked to Madrid this summer. Didn't happen. They went for Jose that many thinks over the hill. But Arteta then wins the league. The reason he can't be considered better, and still, no way, not a chance. And it's just one of these things. Just say from the beginning, Jamie, I'm never going to rate Arteta above Unai Emery. Or this is what I would push back with. I would push back with anyone in our chat right now that doesn't think he's better. What does Arteta have to achieve? Set the standard where your mind will change. I don't want to hear any nonsense about my preferences, my styles. Let's be objective. What has Mikel Arteta got to do for you to say he's better? What has he got to achieve? Actually name it so there is a standard, so a line is drawn. But this, for me, this was a good one. This was funny.
Better player. I think he's more legs about him. Guimarães, you talk about going to Old Trafford. I think if he's playing in a 2 at Old Trafford, I think it'd be a struggle for him.
Right.
Old Trafford's a big pitch. I don't think he's... Look, I'm not saying he's like a Casemiro, but I don't think physically he's
aggressive
around the
though,
pitch
isn't
much.
he?
But I think at Arsenal, it'd be more suited to it. I think Guimarães with Arsenal, I think he will make him a better football team. You need midfield players, especially, to make your team play good football.
Yeah.
Is he going to do that enough for Arsenal? I know they won the league, but I don't really think they got the midfield right last year. Now this might be
Potentially now.
the answer to it, and they're obviously open. So,
what do you guys make of this comment from Paul Scholes? Because it kind of leads into other conversations that I've seen had in the social media world that people don't really get the Bruno G deal. Do Arsenal really need him? Will he improve their midfield? Scholesy here alluding to the fact that last year, Bruno G, maybe it completes Arsenal's midfield. Arsenal's midfield wasn't very good last year. I actually disagree. I think Arsenal's midfield was the best in the Premier League. Maybe not from a creative standpoint. Concur. That's Man United with Bruno Fernandes. But in terms of a team that was not susceptible to leaking opportunities in a league which is right now has a plethora, a vast gulf, in my opinion, compared to any other league, of danger on the counter, danger in the transition, Arsenal handled it the best. So I do think they got things. I think they could have been more creative. They could have been more open. They could have emptied the midfield a little bit more. But it would have led to them conceding more goals and not winning as many points. They got it right to win the league. What do you guys make? Tonali, Bruno G, let me know. Here's the guys on the club talking about a similar subject to do with Bruno Guimarães. I want to get your opinions.
Over the line for, mate, in the modern day definition, it's a pittance.
It's a brilliant deal.
It's a great deal. He's a great player.
I think he's borderline world class. I've got a lot of heat online for saying that.
He is.
I don't think you can name 5, maybe 6 midfielders better than him. The PSG lads, maybe Rodri.
Yeah, and if you make it a Premier League conversation,
Premier League only.
He's top 3 Premier League players.
He's probably a better player than Elliot Anderson right now.
Of course he is.
Lower ceiling because he's older.
Elliot Anderson may well become better than him. May well. But as of today, we're not talking about potential. We're not talking about age. We're just talking about the player today. Bruno Guimarães to Newcastle was everything. Do you know Newcastle? Listen to this. It'll blow your mind if you haven't heard it already. Newcastle, he's been there 4 years. They've never won a game where he hasn't played.
But they're getting relegated then.
Fingers crossed.
I love this from the boys here. No bias, no nonsense, not killing the game, not just saying ridiculous things about Bruno G. Bruno G has been praised universally by the consensus for 4 years. I didn't know that stat. I don't even know if it's true. I'm going to take the boys' word for it. Never lost a game when Bruno G has played. Maybe that's Premier League only. The idea that him going to Arsenal doesn't give them a significant improvement to their team and their squad and their depth, I find it to be a staggering, almost repugnant footballing opinion. The only thing that goes through my mind is you must despise Arsenal so much. You hate them so much. Or you hate Arsenal content creators that wind you up because they're happy so much that you would, for me, push out what you know in your heart of hearts is not the truth, is a lie. Maybe it's in the name of banter. I don't know. But fair play to the boys here, because this, for me, is correct. Now, there's always a chance a deal doesn't work. There's always a chance a deal doesn't have the impact that people expect it to. But for me, the idea that Bruno G isn't this massive game changer, and most of the midfielders you would name that are better than him are unattainable. You're not getting Vitinha. You're not getting João Gomez. You're not getting Rodri at Arsenal, but naming those 3. Some might put Rice above him. Rice is already there. Who are these midfielders that are like categorically better, that are attainable? That are, again, that word again, attainable. Not, I can get them on FIFA. I can get them on Football Manager. No, attainable, that Arsenal could actually sign. There's very few. Excellent piece of business. No doubt about it whatsoever. Give me your thoughts. Give me your opinions below.
With Rashford, I'm hoping that, whatever happens, it works out for everybody. I know some of you don't, and as I said, I respect that. Some of you don't want him back. But this, to me, is where I have a problem with Rio Ferdinand, actually, and anybody who's like him in relation to the clear Glazer rimming. Like, he won't say anything negative about Man United because he wants access for interviews. And I think with Rashford, the best approach is to be honest, is to acknowledge the mistakes of the past, acknowledge he'd rather be in Barcelona and we'd rather sell him, and acknowledge that this is not an ideal situation, but we've got to try and get something out of it. let's not paper the cracks and pretend United want him back and he wants to be back and the star boy is returning, because that will just irritate people. Let's not overwhelm with PR, because that just puts pressure on Rashford. Let's not pretend that we all should be cheering that he's coming back. Let's just be open-minded about it, yeah? I think that's why. Listen to what Rio said. Rashford is back at Man United. He's like a purring Ferrari. He looks fit, he looks ready, and do you know what? There's a smile on his face and there's a spring in his step. I hope he stays. He'll be like a new signing at the football club. And I go, he probably thinks he's doing God's work. He probably thinks the PR there, the club are going to love me, Rashford's going to love me, I'm going to get all the fans to like Rashford because they love Rio. And I go, mate, I actually think you probably put more. You read the comments and you go, you've probably done him more harm than good.
Mark is so correct here. One of the first things Mark said is about being honest, acknowledging the mistakes of the past. And I agree with that when it comes to any criticism of Man United. Any criticism. For instance, I can't sit here for a decade and say, stop overspending, stop spending 85 million on 50 million pound players, stop paying players 200 grand a week when they're 100k a week players. I believe that those actions lead to toxicity in dressing rooms. As a case in point, I can't ask for that for 10 years, see that undertaken and go, I hate it. That would be hypocritical. That wouldn't be addressing the issues of the past. Do I want us to go out and sign top quality players? Yes. If we are going to sign players that are in that lower category, pay the lower category for them. I'm comfortable with that because I think it's how we should do things. And that's why I love what Mark has said here. Whether you love Rashford or were indifferent to him or indeed hated Rashford at Man United, he went 18 months ago. He's had 2 loans. He didn't want to be here anymore. His form was poor. There was problems in the dressing room. There were problems, I think, externally with internally with the club. That there was external issues outside the team. I mean, not the club as itself. External from the dressing room with the club and the board. Issues. Rashford does not want to come back. Man United, forget the fans. The club did not want him to return. Ideally, he wanted Barcelona. We wanted Barcelona to buy him. Barcelona didn't do it. So he's coming back. Nobody else is willing to give him his salary that we pay him, which again goes back to addressing the mistakes of the past. Hindsight, I felt he was worth it at the time. I got it wrong. We can all hold our hands up and say we got it wrong. No one's buying him because they're not prepared to pay him his salary, and Rashford is well within his rights. I hold no issue with him not wanting to lower his salary. He's earned it or been given it, whatever way you look at it, and he should have it. I agree 100% what Rio's doing here is wrong. The whole purring, ready to go, it's going to feel like a new signing. I think we should treat this as what it is. I want Rashford to do well. I'll cheer him and support him on the football pitch. I'll criticize him when things go wrong. But if we tomorrow could get 30 million for him and he leaves and we're able to invest that money into a new player, an exciting, fresh player, I would do it. I absolutely agree that we're almost creating a bit of a rod in a way for our own backs here in this scenario, and I don't think we should do it. But what are your views on this? Is it about time we had honest conversations? And I think honest conversations mean not going crazy about everything that's going on. Not everything is panic stations, because I think then you actually people end up not hearing the real criticism because you lose sight of it. If everything leads to you going crazy, if nothing the ownership do, the manager can do, the players can do, the fans can do is right, if everything's wrong, I think the real problems end up becoming diluted because of it. Equally, we've got to stop this nonsense of this is perfect, this is amazing. Now, by the way, I look at Rashford, I look at the rest of the left wing market. There is also an argument, which I think is fair to go, what's out there that's really going to be better than Rashford in the short term? The argument might be no one, right? Again, that's very different from this is the best thing that's happening in the whole world. I concur completely. Give me your thoughts, give me your views, give me your opinions on that below. Now, I want to play this clip for you because this is also in relation to Manchester United, and I think it's so good. I haven't seen this clip already. This wasn't one that was sent through to me. It's one that I purposely picked out. Take a listen to this.
Must be laughing their tits off. But from their perspective, i.e. the perspective of they don't give a shit, they have played an absolute blinder. They've acquired Man United with money that's not theirs. They've saddled that debt on the club for all of these years, and now when it gets to, I think, the twilight of them owning Manchester United, I don't think they'll be here for much longer, they've managed to saddle all the blame on someone else who deserves blame. But now, no, people aren't talking about the Glazers anymore.
Ineos deserve every shred of criticism, every little bit of it, and they will continue to get it. But let's not do it at the expense of not giving anything to the Glazers.
Yeah.
I love this. And I'll tell you as to why. The Overton window changes. Ineos get all the stick now. Now, Ineos have done things that I don't like. Ineos have sat in front of fan forums and said, we're not going to increase ticket prices, and then they increase ticket prices. They have made promises not delivered. They have made people redundant. They have, this summer alone, frustrated people with the transfer approach in terms of not bringing in more bodies. Everyone will disagree. I actually am fine with them finding value. I'm fine with them going out and scouting a 20-year-old I've not heard of at left back who they believe is good enough, because I love what they've done with Senna Lamins. I love the signing of Aiden Heaven. They have done a lot of things, kept Ten Hag when they shouldn't, given Rubin too much time. They should never have given in the summer. They should have actually have done their due diligence internally. Chasing Ashworth and then sacking him and wasting money. There's a plethora of things they've done wrong and are rightfully criticised for. The one thing I'm never going to do, though, is take my main focus off the Glazers. I'm never going to do that. And it's very important to not do that. Because the ticket pricing, now fans won't like hearing this, but one of the reasons why Ineos, they should never have lied. They should have said, yeah, we're putting the prices up. The reason they've had to put the prices up is because what every other club is doing. And although you'll say, yeah, but we don't have to follow suit, you do. Unfortunately, you do. Because even City's owners and how happy City fans are with their ownership and what they've done for their club, I see constant posts from people like Big Steve and others criticizing how their tickets are being distributed, people losing access, the costing, the pricing, because they keep increasing prices, or they've done similar things, even with their ownership. So, by the way, the idea that if we had the Qataris come in, or the Saudis come in, or Elon Musk come in, or any kind of billionaire, they wouldn't have increased ticket prices. They wouldn't be building a new stadium and then charging X, Y, and Z. I think it's delusional to think that, because all the other clubs are doing it. The difference is, because we've struggled for so long, ownerships have riddled us with debt for so long, everything they do, and we haven't won a league, haven't won a Champions League, we criticize everything. Where I actually think, and shoot me down on this if you want to, I think, say United win the Premier League this year, win the Champions League the year after, hypothetical, the level of criticism will dissipate slightly. If it then announced, oh, we're on the Premier League, oh, we're on the Champions League, oh, there's going to be a 5% increase on tickets, you'll get people complain, and rightfully so, but it will get nowhere near the traction as if we're struggling and we're doing badly again. So I agree with a lot of the criticism Ineos give. I've done it in this video and I'll continue to do it. But still, my number one focus is the Glazers, and we cannot take our eyes off criticizing the Glazers. I love this clip. It is absolutely correct on every single level, and we should all, in my personal opinion, follow suit.
Regards the legendary status of Rodri, who is, I think, maybe number one defensive midfielder in the history of the game.
That's interesting. You can't just
go for less
and move on. Let's do that.
How can he go less? Van Hecke had 1 year left on his contract, goes to Brighton. Van Hecke, less than what Barcelona bid for the greatest midfielder in the history of the game.
Okay, let's explore that, because I don't think it's quite so wild. Is Rodri now in the pantheon of greats? You know, if I go, let's just go normal midfield, right? We don't have to be very specific about the position. Just midfielders. If I do it off the top of my head, I immediately go Keane, Lampard, Gerrard, Vieira.
He's better than all of them.
Do you honestly
now the legacy, you can bring up so many things about what Lampard did when he scored that Premier League winning goal for you, and Roy Keane, the titles. Maybe we can strip it back and go, is he more of a Premier League great? But he's done all of this in the Premier League. He's won 4 in a row that none of these guys have done. 4 in a row is more than Frank Lampard won his entire career, isn't it?
Look, there's some really good arguments in this. The problem I have, and I don't know if Boovy's ever said this, but people keep telling me football's fallen off. And this is where maybe I'm helping Man City fans when it comes to their arguments here. I've heard it from LB many a time. I know I've heard it from many a City fan. Especially when Arsenal were challenging for the league last year. Football's fallen off. The level of football has gone backwards. Carragher spoke about, oh my God, the increase of set pieces coming back into the game and football's gone backwards in the last decade. I've seen this notion pushed by many a football fan that football's gone backwards. So if it's gone backwards, overall quality, there's no way Rodri can be considered the best midfielder. There's no way he can be the best in the Premier League, certainly not the best of all time. You can't be. If the overall standard is low, you may be a player that would have competed at every stage of football history. But if you're competing in an era where the standard has got lower, where people are laughing at the last two Premier League champions as rubbish champions, I didn't say that, by the way, the consensus did. You can't put him in the same category, can you, as a Busquets, as a Lothar Matthäus, as a Claude Makelele, as a Frank Rijkaard, a Kante, a Vieira, a Keane. If they played in an era and in a time that was considered the pomp and the greatest ever in football. Because you've got all those players. Now, you actually think about that list of players. I'm looking at it here. Busquets, Matthäus, Rijkaard, Makelele, Kante, Vieira, Roy Keane, to name a few. Matthäus and Rijkaard maybe a little bit before the rest of those guys, but there's certainly an overlap because Man United played Bayern Munich when Lothar Matthäus was in the team. I'm not sure at what stage he was in his career. I'd have to go and look. But these guys played in an era that's never attacked. The 90s, the noughties, the 20 teens, the early part of the 20 teens, these eras have never been attacked by any stage. Even if you go to the 80s in football, the 70s and 80s actually got quite a lot of ridicule, in fact, by people saying the standards weren't as high as it was in the 50s and in the 60s. But I've never heard the 90s. I've never heard the noughties. I've never heard the sort of 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013. I've never really heard those periods of football attacked. But what I've heard in the last 4 to 5 years is how football's fallen off. And if football's fallen, this is only my question, and I'd love to get an honest answer from you, because let's not kill the game here. If football's fallen off in recent years, surely that means nobody at their peak in this era can be considered greater than the players of the peak of 30 years ago. Even if they're as good, can they be considered as great if they're doing it in what's considered a lesser era? Give me your thoughts, give me your views, give me your opinions on this in the comment section below, please, people.
Your players now coming from a different club over the last 5 or 10 years, if Man United or Man City wanted to buy it, regardless if you're a fan or not, I think we'd both choose Man City.
Yeah, because of what the dynamic they had at the time.
Because probably the way the club's been run over the last 5 to 10 years, and the players they've got.
That's all I were trying to get. You looked at me like as though I were at my mind, but
we just mentioned that a minute ago about. I just mentioned a minute ago about the Newcastle scenario. If you've got a Kevin Keane,
and that hurts saying that though, doesn't it? It's horrible saying that.
It feels weird saying it, and
But when you talk about a football career, you want to get to the end of your football career with medals on the table.
But and again, the big X factor I believe in attraction is the managers. If you look at Sir Alex, obviously everyone wants to go play for Sir Alex. Kevin up there wants to go and play for it. Pep, we're talking about Pepe with City. I went to Newcastle with Sir Bobby Robson there. Yeah. They're big pulls. They are, but you want to play for these great managers.
Listen, I've had a lot of debates recently about the pull of a manager. And I do think the pull of a manager plays a part. When you're a Pep, a Fergie, a Shankly, a Busby, a Clough, Wenger, Jose at his peak, those guys, but they're in the pantheon of great. Ancelotti, to name a few, right? There's almost very few of them in the Premier League now. I don't think De Zerbi has any more pull than Unai Emery. I don't think Unai Emery has much more pull than Michael Carrick as managers. I think they have more than there's more or less, but none of them are considered the greats of the game from a managerial perspective. A big part of pull is what they're going to pay you. It really does count. If City, even under Pep, weren't offering Haaland the wages they were offering him, he may have chose another club, right? So we can't not factor that into the modern day game. But I've seen this clip really upset a lot of people. On the eve of the Premier League beginning, our legends are out here doing this. I'm going to defend the boys here because they're just being honest. They're being honest that City are not bigger than Man United. They're not more successful than Man United. But for the younger player coming through, because of their consistency of challenging, they have become more attractive. And we know that, and that's why Elliot Anderson has picked them. Now, fast forward 5 years, that might change. If they go through 2 or 3 managers because no one can replicate Pep, they don't challenge for league titles, and Carrick kicks on and we win, then we'll be more attractive again. You know, we'll always be attractive for players, I believe, for many, many, many a year, unless we start getting relegated and spend time out the top league, because the history's always there. But footballers have always been attracted to success. As United started winning more and more and more in the 90s, more and more players were attracted to us. Not everybody. Some people still said no because everybody gets rejected. But I don't think this is as controversial as people think. When people sent me this, they go, "Oh, you got the casing into the club." I didn't necessarily see this as hugely controversial, but I might see it differently to you. As ever, people, look, like, share, and subscribe. Thank you all for watching Killing the Game. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. Peace.